Look at this ship. Each container would normally cost about $1,500 to rent. But during certain periods, like a pandemic or a tariff war, the costs can skyrocket to over $20,000. And the shipping chaos doesn't just hit big companies. It trickles down to people like you and me. It's estimated that $250 billion are exchanged in these shipping costs every single day. But behind every product you buy, whether it's an iPhone, coffee, sneakers, or even bananas, this chaos isn't anything new. It's just usually hidden. But when a big event comes along, like Trump's recent tariffs, these changes bring out tons of volatility in the market. And that's when smart founders like you have the chance to see an opportunity, fix a problem, and profit massively from it. That is how these three brilliant gigabrains launched a startup to capitalize on this opportunity. But first, we need to understand how the economics of shipping works. Think of a container slot as being sort of like booking an Airbnb. In a normal year, that room in LA might cost you about $100 a night. And in the case of shipping containers, it's probably about $1,500 to get from China to the US. But during chaotic times, like a trade war, that's when everybody tries to book in at once, because everybody wants to make sure that they get in before the tariffs start to hit. The ports were absolutely jammed. There were not enough containers. That massive surge in demand went absolutely through the roof. Now imagine that it's like landing at your favorite Airbnb and the host suddenly says, oh, actually, you want to stay here at $100 a night? Well, now it's costing you $20,000 a night. If one container slot can jump from $1,500 to $20,000 overnight and nobody can lock in the price, then we're in big, big trouble. Small businesses can't plan ahead, big businesses pay more and pass the bill to you at the checkout, and that's the setup for an economic disaster. So these founders decided to tackle that precise problem. One of those founders works at Google DeepMind, the AI research company that has driven so much of the current AI revolution. Another founder is an analyst at McKinsey, and the other one has previously scaled a startup to over 100 employees. So what they built is a prediction market for container slots. Basically, I know that I'm going to need to ship something, and I want to lock in the price at, let's say, $1,500. Or maybe when the price is rising, you don't want to wait for it to hit $20,000. You just want to be able to say, look, I want this right now. And it also allows other people to make money on it. It means that if there are people who need what you have, you can sell it to them at that price. But it also means that you can make money along the way, and it provides a much more liquid market so that rather than prices just suddenly skyrocketing, they can gradually go up. We see this happening all the time in the real world. So Apple obviously use a ton of aluminium or titanium to make your current iPhones. And what they'll do is they'll lock in the prices in advance so that when they come to make these iPhones, they're not suddenly faced with this massive, massive hit or change in prices. They want to lock in and get that certainty. And this is uniquely possible in Web3 because Web3 allows us to tokenize all of these things. It allows us to build these markets very, very transparently so that anybody can participate in them just at the drop of a hat. So in a nutshell, what they've been able to do is make freight slots behave like financial assets. There's a limited supply, there's volatile demand and big swings, but they've allowed that to be completely transformed. Currently, there's no financial instrument that actually exists for betting on these sorts of things and for locking these prices in. So Web3 actually made this possible because of the transparency, the trust, and the speed. Now, all of this might sound a little bit complicated, so let's break down exactly how they executed this idea. We can break their strategy down into 3 simple steps. These are the steps that anyone can use to launch their own startup, and they're also the steps that you can follow when you come to one of our hackathons. Step number 1 is don't start by just trying to find a new idea. Start by finding a real pain point that actually exists. Here, they focused on freight prices. It's a huge real-world pain. It's extremely expensive, and that easily validated their idea. It's all over the news. Trump's tariff war with the rest of the world, and in particular with China, it means that freight prices have gone through the roof. Well-known, big, big problem. Now, step 2 was to connect existing tools to create a new workflow. So what they did was they took some of the tools that already exist in Web3, for example, some of the smart contracts, NFTs that are already out there, and then they actually made them work for their use case. So basically they combined Web3 with freight trading. They didn't need to completely reinvent supply chains or create their own from scratch, sort of like how Amazon used the US Postal Service to actually bootstrap its deliveries business. They didn't need to create their own one. Porkership didn't invent Web3. They didn't invent freight shipping. What they did was they connected the two in a way that nobody had ever done before. Step 3 is to move super, super fast on the MVP. They looked at an example of a dApp that already did something similar. They looked at Polymarket, and they saw that that was actually something that they could do themselves but apply it to the freight market. Then what they did was they defined their MVP. They didn't need to take every single part of Polymarket. They didn't need to take every single part of the freight shipping industry. What they did was they took one route, one type of freight, minimum functionality, and that's basically how they broke this all down into something that they could actually build at a hackathon. And that meant that when they came to our EasyA hackathon and they had all these ideas, they were then able to go up, pitch on stage, and win. And that's what EasyA helps you do really, really well. Right now, the reason that we're here in Toronto is because we're hosting the biggest ever blockchain hackathon in North America with millions of dollars in prize money and funding. But you can come here, you can execute quickly, get rapid feedback, and we'll help you launch your very own startup within 48 hours. And you don't need $1 billion in funding to do it. You just need the right lens to see opportunities that might already be hiding right in plain sight. So if you have a burning idea that you want to bring to life, check out this video here where I break down exactly how to launch. There has never been a better time for you to get started, so check out this video, and I'm actually late for another meeting. I'm going to go head there right now. I'll see you in the next one.